The desert sun burned bright over Ors 7, casting long shadows over the mining colony's metal structures. Dust swirled in the hot wind, and the distant mountains shimmered under the heat. Amidst this harsh environment, life carried on. Humans worked side by side with a few alien species, each busy with their own tasks. Kai, a human engineer, walked steadily along the colony's main hub. His jumpsuit was dusty, his boots worn from constant use, but his posture remained straight, confident. He had repaired ships for years, earning a reputation for being calm, clever, and precise. Today, he carried a small toolbox, unaware that his life was about to become more complicated. A sleek ship, unlike any human design, hovered at the landing pad. Its silver-blue hull glimmered in the sunlight, with strange markings etched into its surface. Kai paused. The ship's engine vents hissed quietly, and he could see damage along the wing panels. Someone had not taken care of this ship properly, or perhaps something had gone wrong. During travel. From the hatch, a figure stepped out. She was taller than most humans, with graceful movements and glowing eyes that seemed to change color slightly in the sunlight. Her silver hair flowed behind her like a living shadow, and she wore a uniform unlike anything Kai had ever seen. He immediately recognized her as an alien diplomat from the Zeradian Federation. "Greetings," she said in fluent Common, her voice calm but firm. "I am Mara. My ship is damaged, and I require assistance." Kai gave a small bow, a polite, human gesture he used with diplomats. "I'm Kai, engineer of this colony. I'll do my best to help. Please, follow me to the workshop." Mara nodded, her eyes scanning the colony with interest. "I have heard humans are clever. I am curious to see if the stories are true." There was a hint of amusement in her tone, but also genuine curiosity. Kai led her to the workshop, a wide hangar filled with tools, workbenches, and half-finished ship parts. The air smelled of oil and metal, a scent he found comforting. He gestured toward the damaged ship. "Show me the problem areas, and we can start." Mara floated closer to the hull, her fingers brushing over the surface. She pointed at the wing panels. The stabilization matrix was damaged during the descent. "We also have minor engine misalignments. It may not be visible, but it will affect hyperspace jump calculations." Kai nodded, impressed. "Most aliens did not explain their technology so clearly. I can handle it. Some of your systems are different from ours, but I like a challenge." As they worked side by side, Kai handed Mara tools, and she corrected him when he misunderstood the alien designs. Despite the differences, they quickly found a rhythm. Mara moved with precision, showing knowledge beyond her diplomatic role. Kai, in return, demonstrated human ingenuity, improvising with limited materials. A small alarm beeped from the ship's console. Mara frowned. "Minor power fluctuation. Can you handle it?" Kai tapped a few buttons and adjusted wiring. Sparks flew, harmlessly. Mara watched, eyes wide with interest. "You humans are unpredictable. But it works." Kai chuckled softly. "Unpredictable is sometimes useful." For a few moments, silence filled the hangar, except for the hum of the ship's engine. Then Mara glanced at Kai and smiled faintly. "You work well under pressure." Kai felt an unfamiliar warmth at her words. He smiled in return, careful not to let his feelings show. "I try to. It is my job." The day passed quickly. Dusty sunlight faded into the pale glow of Ors 7's twin moons. The repairs were going well, and Mara's respect for Kai grew. She began asking questions, not only about the ship but about humans in general. "Your species adapts quickly," she observed. "I'm curious how you survive in harsh environments like this planet." Kai wiped his hands on a rag. "We learn, we survive, and we help each other. That is how humans endure." Mara nodded thoughtfully. "I see. Perhaps there is more to your species than I was told." As the evening deepened, the air cooled. The hangar lights cast soft shadows on the walls. Mara examined the repaired panels, satisfied with the progress. "You have exceeded my expectations, Kai." Kai felt a flicker of pride but also an unusual nervousness. He had promised himself to remain professional, to keep boundaries clear with any alien diplomat. Mara, however, had a presence that was Hard to ignore, intelligent, confident, and intriguing. You've been easy to work with as well, Mara. Kai said carefully. Your guidance helped me understand the systems faster. Mara tilted her head, studying him. You humans are different from my people. You think creatively, not just logically. It is refreshing. Kai glanced at her, noticing the subtle glow in her eyes reflecting the workshop lights. He quickly looked away, focusing on the tools on the bench. Professionalism first, he reminded himself suddenly. A small mechanical part rolled off the table. Both bent to pick it up at the same time, their hands brushing. They froze for a moment, exchanging a glance that carried more meaning than words. Kai cleared his throat. That is efficient teamwork, he said, forcing a light tone. Mara's lips curved into a faint smile. Yes, perhaps we make a good team. The repair work continued, but the brief moment lingered in their minds. A connection was forming, quiet, subtle, and unspoken. Neither wanted to admit it fully, but both were aware of the unusual bond. By the end of the night, the main repairs were complete. Mara inspected the ship, satisfied. Your work is impressive, Kai. The ship is ready for its next journey. Kai felt a mix of pride and reluctance. He wanted to say more, to express the strange pull he felt, but professionalism held him back. I am glad it is fixed. Safe travels, Mara. Mara nodded, her eyes meeting his one last time before she prepared to leave. Thank you, Kai. I hope our paths cross again. Kai watched her ascend the ship's ramp, feeling an unfamiliar emptiness. The hangar felt quieter without her presence. He knew that this encounter was only the beginning. Something had started between them, a spark of curiosity, respect, and perhaps more that neither could ignore. Outside, the twin moons of Ors 7 glimmered over the desert, and the cool night breeze whispered across the colony. Somewhere deep in the desert, a human engineer and an alien diplomat had shared a moment that would grow into something unexpected. Neither of them yet understood the full journey that awaited. But one thing was certain, their first encounter had changed them both, and soon they would discover that even the strongest promises and boundaries could be tested by curiosity, respect, and a bond that neither species had fully anticipated. The morning sun rose over Ors 7, casting golden light across the desert colony. Dust swirled gently in the breeze, settling over the metal roofs of the workshops and hangars. Kai arrived at the Zeradian ship, which now rested calmly on the landing pad, its silver blue hull gleaming under the early light. Mara was already there, inspecting the external systems of her vessel. She looked up as Kai approached, her eyes lighting with quiet curiosity. You returned early, she said, her voice carrying a hint of amusement. Kai smiled politely. I wanted to check the repairs. It is important that everything functions perfectly before your departure. Mara nodded. Indeed. But it is unusual for a human to care so much about alien technology. Most are satisfied with minimum effort. She paused, studying him. You seem different. Kai felt a small warmth at her words but kept his tone calm. Perhaps, or perhaps I simply enjoy solving problems. Mara chuckled softly, a sound like wind through distant canyons. She handed him a small device. We have an issue with the internal stabilizers. They fluctuate slightly during energy redistribution. Can you examine it? Kai took the device, examining it carefully. Its design was unlike any human tech he had seen, yet familiar enough to understand. It will take time, he said, but it can be fixed. For the next several hours, Kai and Mara worked together in silence, communicating through gestures, tools, and occasional comments. Mara's movements were precise and confident, yet graceful. Kai admired her focus, noting how her alien abilities allowed her to manipulate delicate components with ease. During a pause, Mara leaned against the hull, wiping a small smear from her uniform. Tell me, Kai, she said softly, why do humans thrive in harsh places like Ors 7? It seems impossible at first glance. Kai wiped his hands and looked out at the desert horizon. Humans adapt, he said. We learn from mistakes, and we work together. Alone, we are limited. Together, we are stronger. Mara studied him closely, her glowing eyes reflecting the sunlight. I see, You value cooperation and trust. It is admirable. Your species has much to offer the galaxy. Kai felt a flicker of pride but remained focused. It is not just humans. Every species has strengths. Understanding each other is how we survive and grow. Mara nodded thoughtfully. For a moment, the desert around them seemed still, as if listening to their words. Then, without warning, a sudden sandstorm swept across the colony, blowing dust and grit into the hangar. Kai immediately grabbed a protective cover and shielded the delicate components of the ship. Mara moved beside him, holding tools steady as the storm raged. They worked quickly, their hands moving in sync despite the chaos. When the storm finally subsided, both were covered in dust, their hair and uniforms disheveled. Kai laughed quietly. We make a good team, even in a sandstorm. Mara smiled, her glowing eyes brighter than ever. Indeed, humans are persistent and clever. I admire that. The two spent the afternoon continuing repairs, the deserts, heat fading under the twin moons. Mara began to ask more personal questions, curious about human life and culture. Do humans often travel between planets? She asked. Kai nodded. Some do, but most stay on one world for years. Travel is dangerous, but it teaches you much. Seeing other places helps humans grow in ways staying still cannot. Mara leaned closer, her eyes reflecting soft curiosity. I envy that. My life is mostly diplomatic work. I travel, yes, but always with responsibility. It leaves little time for exploration. Kai looked at her thoughtfully. Exploration is not just travel. It is learning, observing, understanding. You do it every day, in your own way. Mara considered this, a faint smile forming. Perhaps, but humans do it differently. You take risks. You see things clearly even when they are hidden. Kai felt a subtle warmth in his chest. Noticing her gaze lingering a moment too long, he reminded himself of his promise to remain professional. Mara was a diplomat. His role was to assist, not to form attachments. Yet, something about her presence drew him in intellectually and personally. They continued working into the evening. Mara showed him aspects of Zorathian technology he had never encountered. Kai, in turn, explained human problem-solving methods, using simple logic and creativity to overcome limitations. At one point, Mara handed him a small panel to connect. Their hands brushed again, and both paused, exchanging a brief glance. Neither spoke, but a quiet understanding passed between them. Something unspoken had begun, a subtle connection beyond words. The workday ended, but neither wanted to leave the workshop. Mara floated near the ship's exit, looking at Kai. I did not expect to enjoy this so much. Humans are unusual. I like it. Kai felt his chest tighten, a mix of pride and hesitation. I am glad to hear that, he said carefully. It is unusual for humans and Zorathians to work together so closely, but it is effective. Mara's eyes softened. Yes, I feel more capable when I work with you. You inspire confidence. Kai nodded, careful to maintain his composure. That is the goal, to succeed together. A soft silence fell between them. The glow of Orcs 7's moons illuminated the workshop, casting long shadows across the metal floor. Mara's gaze lingered on Kai, studying his features, noticing the calm determination and quiet intelligence in his eyes. Finally, she spoke, her voice low. Kai, you are different from anyone I have met. There is something about your presence that is reassuring. Kai felt a warmth he had not experienced before. I appreciate that, he said, keeping his tone even. He could feel the pull of emotions he had tried to ignore. He reminded himself again. Professional first, feelings second. Mara smiled, faintly, sensing his restraint. I do not want to overstep boundaries, she said softly. But I am curious about you, about humans. Kai nodded. Curiosity is good. It is how we learn. They stood quietly, side by side, looking at the ship they had worked on together. The hum of the vessel was steady now, fully repaired, ready for travel. Yet the silent tension between them lingered, unspoken but undeniable. As Mara prepared to leave for the night, she turned to him once more. Kai, I hope we meet again. There is more to learn. And perhaps more to understand about each other, Kai nodded, watching her float toward her quarters. I hope so, Mara. There's much to discover. Outside, the desert night was calm. Stars twinkled in the clear sky above, distant and bright, somewhere beyond the horizon. The galaxy stretched vast and endless. And within the walls of the workshop, a human engineer and a Zeradian diplomat had begun a journey not only of technology and repair, but of curiosity, respect, and something quietly growing between them. The bond was subtle, a spark that neither could ignore, the promise of understanding and perhaps something more waited in the days ahead. The next morning on Ors 7, the desert sun rose slowly, painting the mining colony in shades of gold and orange. The air was dry, and the heat already began to rise. Kai arrived early at the workshop, carrying his tools and checking the list of remaining repairs on Mara's ship. Mara was waiting, already floating near the ship's wing. Her silver hair glimmered in the sunlight, and her eyes reflected curiosity. Good morning, Kai, she said, her voice calm but cheerful. We have much to finish today if I am to leave on schedule. Kai nodded, smiling slightly. Good morning, Mara. Yes, we must make sure everything is perfect. They began their work, moving around the ship with precision. Mara explained the internal systems of her vessel, and Kai adjusted and repaired components carefully. Each step required concentration and coordination, and yet, as they worked, small moments of connection began to appear. During a calibration of the engine matrix, Mara leaned closer than usual to observe Kai's adjustments. Her arm brushed his as she handed him a tool. Both paused, looking at each other for a brief moment. Kai cleared his throat. It is important to keep focus. We cannot afford mistakes. Mara's lips curved into a faint smile. Of course. Focus first, curiosity second. She teased lightly. Kai felt a warmth he could not name. He reminded himself of his promise, professional first, feelings later. Yet, her presence was compelling. Something about the way she observed and questioned challenged him in ways he had not expected. A sudden alarm beeped, startling both. A minor malfunction appeared in the energy distribution system, threatening to overload the stabilizers. The warning lights flashed red. Kai quickly moved to the control panel. We must act fast, he said, tapping buttons and rerouting energy. Mara assisted, her glowing eyes scanning the readouts. Divert energy to the secondary conduits. It will hold for a short time, but we must repair the main line immediately. Together, they worked as a team, coordinating smoothly. The danger forced them to rely on each other fully. Kai noticed Mara's calm under pressure, her precise movements, and her ability to think clearly even when the alarms flashed. When the system stabilized, both stepped back, breathing heavily. Kai wiped sweat from his forehead. Well done. Your instructions were clear. We prevented a major failure. Mara nodded, a flicker of pride in her eyes. We prevented it together, for a while. Silence filled the workshop. Only the hum of the ship's systems broke the quiet. Then Mara spoke softly, almost to herself. Kai, you do not panic. You remain calm even in dangerous situations. It is unusual for your species. Kai felt a subtle thrill at her words. Humans survive by thinking clearly, he replied. Simply, panic does not help. Mara studied him closely, her gaze lingering. I admire that. There's discipline in your calmness, and yet there's also creativity. It is strange, but refreshing. Kai felt his heart beat faster, though he kept his tone steady. Creativity often comes from necessity. We adapt, Mara nodded, seeming to consider this. Yes. I see now why humans are respected in the galaxy. You think differently. You see possibilities that others do not. They continue with the repairs, and small moments began to test the boundaries between them. Mara leaned closer when showing Kai how to adjust a delicate sensor. Kai felt the warmth of her presence but turned his focus to the work. During a break, Mara floated near the workshop window, watching the desert sands ripple under the heat. Kai, do humans often work with aliens? She asked casually. Kai shook his head. Not often. Most humans stay with their own kind, But working together, it teaches both sides. We learn much from each other. Mara tilted her head, her glowing eyes observing him. I have learned much from you, not only about human ingenuity, but about patience and thinking carefully under pressure. Kai felt an unfamiliar tension in his chest. Thank you, Mara. That is kind of you to say. The sun was high now, and the desert heat pressed against the walls of the workshop. Dust drifted through the air as they moved around the ship, tightening panels, connecting wires, and testing systems. At one point, Mara adjusted a delicate component, and her hand again brushed Kai's. Both froze, looking at each other. The spark of connection between them was no longer subtle. It was noticeable, though unspoken. Kai quickly focused on a nearby console. This part must align perfectly, otherwise the navigation matrix will fail. Mara smiled faintly, her gaze softening. Yes, focus first, boundaries second, she said lightly, teasing. Though her eyes revealed curiosity and something more, Kai's chest tightened, but he remained calm. He reminded himself of his promise, respect her role, stay professional. Yet, he could not deny the strange pull her presence had on him. Later, as the day began to fade, a minor technical issue forced them to check the ship's exterior under the setting sun. The sky was painted in shades of red and orange, casting long shadows across the desert. Working side by side, they adjusted panels and tightened bolts. Their movements were synchronized, almost effortless. A quiet moment passed when Mara glanced at Kai, noticing how he carefully observed every detail, how he never rushed, how his hands moved with precision and confidence. Kai caught her gaze and felt a warmth he had not felt before. He quickly looked away, focusing on the work, but the tension between them was undeniable. Both sensed it, yet neither spoke of it. Finally, the repairs were complete, and the ship hummed steadily, ready for flight. Mara inspected the vessel one last time, floating lightly around the hull. It is perfect, she said. Kai, you have done more than I expected. You have exceeded expectations. Kai nodded, his chest tight with emotions he did not name. It is my duty to ensure your ship functions properly. I am glad it is ready. Mara's eyes lingered on him, her expression softening. I'm glad I met you, Kai. You have changed my view of humans. Kai felt a mix of pride and hesitation. And you have shown me that aliens are more capable than most humans expect. As night fell, the desert sky filled with stars. The twin moons of Orcs 7 reflected off the ship's surface, casting a soft glow across the workshop. Mara floated near the exit, her gaze on Kai. Tomorrow, we finalize the last systems before my departure, she said. I look forward to working with you again. Kai nodded, watching her for a brief moment. As do I, Mara. There's much to learn. She smiled faintly, a quiet spark of connection passing between them. Indeed, she whispered before leaving for her quarters. Kai stood alone in the workshop, listening to the hum of the ship. The day had been exhausting, yet exhilarating. Something unspoken had grown between him and Mara, quiet curiosity, respect, and the first hints of a bond neither of them could ignore. The desert night was calm, stars shining far above. Somewhere in the vastness of space, a human and an alien had begun a journey not just of repair and teamwork, but of understanding, trust, and connection. And though they did not yet speak of it aloud, both felt the pull of something more, an invisible line slowly being tested, a spark waiting to grow. The desert sky above Orcs 7 was painted in shades of purple and gold as the twin moons began to rise. The colony was quiet now, with only a few night workers moving between the buildings. Inside the hangar, Kai continued inspecting Mara's ship, ensuring every system functioned correctly. Mara arrived shortly after, her movements calm and graceful as always. Kai, she greeted softly, tonight, I want to review the ship's navigation systems with you. Tomorrow, it will be ready for its first long-distance flight. Kai nodded, offering her a small smile. Of course, Mara. Let us make sure everything is perfect. They worked together side by side, checking coordinates, testing energy flows, and recalibrating sensors. The soft hum of the ship filled the hangar, blending with the quiet desert night outside. As the hours passed, their conversations moved beyond technical matters. "Tell me," Mara said, floating slightly closer, "what do humans do for enjoyment when not working? Do you spend your time exploring or resting?" Kai thought for a moment. "Humans do both. We explore to learn, and we rest to prepare for the next challenge. Even in harsh places like Ors 7, we find ways to enjoy simple things: stories, games, conversation." Mara tilted her head, intrigued. "I see. Perhaps humans are not only clever, but resilient. You find joy even in difficulty." Kai felt a warmth at her observation. "Yes, joy keeps us going. It is important to celebrate small successes." A soft smile appeared on Mara's face. "I like that. I have spent much of my life with responsibility, following rules, fulfilling duties. Sometimes I forget to enjoy simple moments." Kai glanced at her, noticing the quiet softness in her eyes. "Perhaps you need to pause more often. Even a few moments can make a difference." Mara floated closer, her gaze fixed on his hands as he adjusted a delicate panel. "You speak with wisdom, Kai. I am learning much, not just about your technology, but about your people, and perhaps about life itself." Kai felt his chest tighten slightly. He reminded himself of his promise: remain professional. Yet her words were difficult to ignore. "I appreciate that, Mara. I'm learning from you as well." They continued to work in silence for a while, the bond between them growing with every shared task. Small touches occurred naturally, passing tools, brushing against each other while reaching for components. Each moment carried weight. Unspoken but undeniable. At one point, Mara stepped back to observe the ship from a distance. "Kai, your methods are unusual, yet effective. I admire how you combine logic and creativity. Most Zeradians focus on precision only, but you see possibilities others miss." Kai looked at her thoughtfully. "Human thinking is flexible. We adapt. Sometimes rules are guidelines, not limits. That allows us to find solutions others may overlook." Mara's eyes softened, reflecting the glow of the twin moons. "I see now why humans are respected. You do not only solve problems, you see beyond them." The conversation created a quiet intimacy between them. They were no longer just engineer and diplomat. They were two individuals learning from and admiring each other. Suddenly, a minor alert sounded from the ship's control panel. A small fluctuation in the energy grid required immediate attention. Kai moved quickly, with Mara assisting. Their hands brushed as they worked together, repairing the anomaly. Kai paused for a brief moment, noticing the subtle closeness. "We are almost done," he said quietly. "Just a few more checks." Mara nodded, her eyes meeting his. "I enjoy working with you, Kai. You have a calmness that is comforting." Kai swallowed, aware of the tension growing between them. "I enjoy working with you as well, Mara. Your skill and focus are remarkable." They continued the work, side by side, but a subtle connection lingered in the air. Every glance, every small smile, and every shared task added to the invisible thread weaving them together. After the repairs were complete, Mara floated near the ship's exit. "Kai, thank you. Your work ensures the ship is ready for its journey. But more than that, your presence makes this experience memorable." Kai felt a warmth he had never expected. "Mara, it is my honor to assist you. I have learned much from this experience." Mara's lips curved into a gentle smile. "And I have learned from you, Kai, perhaps more than I anticipated." They stood quietly, the hum of the ship and the soft desert night surrounding them. Mara's eyes lingered on him, observing the calm determination and quiet intelligence that had captured her attention. Since the first day, Kai, aware of the growing connection, took a deep breath. "Tomorrow, your journey begins. I hope our work together has prepared you well." Mara nodded. "It has. And Kai, I hope this is not the last time we meet. There is more to learn, not only about ships, but about each other." Kai's heart beat faster. "I hope so too, Mara. There is much to discover." A moment of silence passed. The workshop felt warmer, quieter, filled with unspoken understanding. Neither crossed the professional boundary, yet the spark between them had grown stronger. Finally, Mara turned toward the exit, pausing briefly. "Good night, Kai. Rest well. Tomorrow will bring new challenges." Kai watched her float away, a quiet ache of anticipation in his chest. "Good night, Mara," he whispered, his gaze lingering on the empty space she left behind. As the desert night stretched on, the twin moons cast soft light across the colony. The quiet hum of the repaired ship echoed in the hangar, a reminder of their shared work and growing connection. Kai knew that the promise he had made to remain professional was being tested. Mara's presence was unlike anything he had experienced before. She inspired curiosity, admiration, and a warmth that went beyond mere respect. Yet for now, he focused on the task at hand. The repairs were complete, the ship was ready, and their bond, though subtle, had strengthened. Tomorrow would bring new opportunities, and with them, new challenges not only in repairing ships, but in navigating the feelings quietly growing between human and alien. The desert was still and quiet. Stars shone far above, distant yet brilliant. Somewhere in the vast galaxy, a human engineer and a Zeradian diplomat had formed a connection, built on respect, skill, and quiet admiration. The line between professionalism and personal curiosity was beginning to blur, but neither was ready to cross it completely, and so the night ended with anticipation in the air, a promise of growth, understanding, and moments of connection that would shape their future in ways neither yet understood. The next morning, the desert air was cooler than usual, carrying the faint scent of metal and dust from the colony's workshops. Kai arrived at the hangar early, carrying a fresh set of tools and parts for the final adjustments on Mara's ship. Mara was already present, hovering beside her vessel. Her silver hair shimmered under the rising sun, and her glowing eyes reflected quiet determination. "Kai," she greeted him with a small smile. "Today, we finished the final calibrations. The ship must be ready for my journey beyond the colony." Kai nodded, returning her smile politely. "Yes, Mara. Today we ensure everything is perfect." They began their work, moving seamlessly between tasks. Kai adjusted sensors, tightened panels, and double-checked energy flows. Mara assisted, her movements precise and efficient, guiding him through Zeradian systems with clarity. As they worked, Mara noticed the quiet intensity in Kai's actions. "You pay attention to details that most humans would overlook," she observed. "It is impressive." Kai glanced at her briefly, his chest tightening slightly. "Details are important. Small mistakes can have large consequences." Mara floated closer, her voice softening. "Yet, you do not seem stressed. You remain calm even under pressure. It is unusual." Kai looked back at her, noting the subtle warmth in her eyes. Calmness allows clear thinking. Panic only slows progress. A small spark of connection passed between them, unspoken but undeniable. Kai reminded himself to maintain his promise, stay professional. Yet, every glance, every shared task, drew him closer to her in ways he had not anticipated. Suddenly, the ship's alarm beeped, indicating a minor energy fluctuation in the stabilizer. Kai moved quickly, and Mara assisted without hesitation. Their hands brushed several times as they worked together, sending quiet tension through the air. "We must reroute energy temporarily," Kai said, tapping controls. "It is delicate work. One wrong adjustment and the system will fail." Mara's glowing eyes studied him. "I trust your judgment, Kai. Lead, and I will follow." Kai felt a surge of respect and warmth. "Thank you, Mara. Let us proceed carefully." They worked side by side, hands moving in coordination, voices calm and focused. When the fluctuation was stabilized, both stepped back, breathing slightly, heavier from the effort. "We prevented a serious failure," Kai said. "Your guidance was essential." Mara nodded, her eyes soft. "And your skill ensured success. We worked well together, Kai." For a few moments, silence fell. The desert sun shone brightly outside, but inside the hangar, the air seemed charged with an unspoken tension. Their connection had grown beyond simple teamwork. Mara floated closer, her gaze lingering on Kai. "I feel more capable when I work with you." Your presence gives confidence, even beyond your skill. Kai felt his heart beat faster. I feel the same, Mara. Your guidance makes complex systems easier to manage. A quiet laugh escaped Mara. You speak carefully. There's a restraint in your words, as if you are holding back. Kai cleared his throat, focusing on a nearby control panel. It is important to maintain professionalism. Boundaries are necessary. Mara's smile softened, and her glowing eyes reflected curiosity. Yes, but even boundaries can be tested. Kai's chest tightened, aware of the subtle challenge in her words. He looked at her, noting the small tilt of her head, the quiet gleam in her eyes. She was testing him, and he was aware of the line between respect and something more. A small alarm sounded again, signaling an anomaly in the ship's hyperspace navigation system. Kai moved quickly, Mara assisting with precise instructions. Their hands brushed as they worked, each touch sending an unspoken message neither would yet acknowledge. We must finish the final calibration, Kai said softly. The system must be flawless before your journey. Mara's gaze met his, steady and curious. And if it is not perfect? She asked. Kai smiled faintly. Then we will work until it is. Humans do not give up easily. Mara laughed quietly, a sound that blended with the hum of the repaired ship. I see. Humans are persistent and clever. I admire that. As they continued, Mara shared small personal stories about her life as a diplomat, her responsibilities, and the pressures she faced. Kai listened, offering careful insights and observations, making her laugh with simple, honest humor. During a pause, Mara floated closer, adjusting a delicate panel. Their hands touched again, longer this time, though. Neither withdrew immediately. The unspoken tension grew. Kai cleared his throat, focusing on the control panel. We are nearly done, he said, trying to maintain composure. Mara's eyes softened. Yes, almost, and yet, I feel there is more between us than work. Kai swallowed, aware of the pull her words had on him. Mara, I respect you. I must remain professional. But your presence makes that difficult. Mara nodded, her expression calm yet sincere. I understand, Kai. I feel the same. Perhaps the line is not as rigid as we thought. The desert sky outside shifted from gold to deep purple as the twin moons rose, casting soft light across the hangar. The ship hummed steadily, fully repaired and ready for its journey, yet the moment between them carried more weight than the ship itself. Mara floated near the exit, gazing at Kai. Tomorrow, I leave for the next stage of my mission. But I hope our work together is not finished. There is still much to learn about ships, about the galaxy, and perhaps about each other. Kai nodded, his chest tight. I hope so as well. Mara, there is much yet to discover. A quiet moment passed. The bond between them was no longer subtle. Each glance, each shared task, each gentle touch had strengthened the connection. The line between professional respect and personal curiosity was thinning, though neither was ready to fully cross it. Finally, Mara turned toward her quarters, pausing briefly. Good night, Kai. Rest well. Tomorrow brings new challenges. Kai watched her float away, a quiet ache in his chest. Good night, Mara, he whispered. Until tomorrow. Alone in the workshop, Kai listened to the hum of the ship, reflecting. On the day, the repairs were complete, the ship was ready, and yet the most important discovery had been the bond forming between him and Mara. It was quiet, subtle, and unspoken, but it was there. The desert night stretched on, calm and vast. Stars glittered above, distant yet brilliant, somewhere in the galaxy. A human and a Zerathian had begun to explore something more than technology. They had discovered curiosity, trust, and the beginnings of an unusual, growing connection. And though the line between professional and personal had not yet been fully crossed, both Kai and Mara knew it was being tested quietly, carefully, and with a spark that neither could ignore. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new adventures, and perhaps new ways for them to understand the feelings quietly building between them. The morning sun bathed Orcs 7 in pale gold, its heat slowly spreading across the desert sands. Kai arrived at the hangar, carrying his usual set of tools, but today the air felt different. There was a quiet anticipation, almost electric, that he could not explain. Mara was already there, hovering near her ship. Her silver hair shimmered, and her glowing eyes held a subtle intensity. "Kai," she greeted softly, "today we complete the final checks. After this, my ship will be ready for the long journey." Kai returned her gaze with a careful smile. "Yes, Mara. Today everything must be perfect. No errors, no surprises." They began their work, moving side by side. Sensors were calibrated, energy flows verified, and navigation systems tested. Every motion was precise, every word exchanged purposeful. But beneath the professional focus, a quiet tension pulsed between them, and awareness of the connection that had been growing over the past days. At one point, Mara handed Kai a delicate component, her hand brushing his as she floated closer than necessary. Both paused, holding eye contact for a brief, unspoken moment. Kai cleared his throat, concentrating on the panel in front of him. "We must remain focused. Even small distractions can lead to mistakes." Mara's lips curved into a faint smile. "Yes, focus first. But Kai, you are aware that we have shared many moments beyond simple work. Do you not feel it?" Kai swallowed, feeling a surge of emotion he struggled to control. "I do," he admitted quietly. "But I also respect boundaries. We must maintain professionalism, Mara." She nodded slowly, her glowing eyes reflecting both curiosity and understanding. "I respect that, but sometimes boundaries are tested by circumstances, by connection, and by the spark we cannot ignore." Kai's chest tightened. He had felt at the spark but had kept it carefully hidden. Now, Mara had named it, and it was impossible to ignore. "Yes," he whispered, "there is something unusual between us, something I cannot fully explain." They continued the work, but the energy between them had shifted. Every glance, every gesture carried meaning beyond the technical. Mara's presence was magnetic, her focus unwavering yet personal. Her attention subtly centered on him. A minor alarm suddenly beeped, signaling a small fluctuation in the energy stabilizer. Kai moved quickly, with Mara assisting. Their hands brushed as they worked, and this time, neither pulled away immediately. Kai felt a warmth spreading through him. "We are almost done," he said, his voice low. "One final check, and the ship will be ready." Mara's eyes softened. "Kai, I must admit, your presence, it has become more than professional. I feel drawn to your calmness, your intelligence, your presence." Kai turned to face her fully, his heart racing. "Mara, I feel the same. I have tried to stay professional, but I cannot deny it any longer." For a few moments, they stood quietly, the hum of the ship the only sound. In the hangar, the twin moons of Orcs 7 reflected off the metallic surface of the ship, casting soft light on their faces. The professional boundary they had maintained for so long now shimmered, fragile and tempting. Mara floated closer, her gaze steady. "Kai, if we are careful, we can explore this connection without losing respect or trust. Can we do that?" Kai nodded, his chest tight with anticipation and caution. "Yes, we can be careful. But I want to understand this. Between us, I cannot ignore it." A quiet laughter escaped Mara, gentle and warm. "I am glad, Kai. I have felt the same spark, but I was unsure how to act. Now, we can be honest with each other." The tension shifted into a calm, shared understanding. They resumed their work, but the subtle energy between them made every shared task feel more personal, more intimate. Passing tools, adjusting panels, checking systems all carried an undercurrent of connection, unspoken yet deeply felt. As the day moved on, they finally completed the final calibration of the navigation systems. Mara floated back, her eyes bright. "It is done. The ship is ready for its journey." And Kai, "I am grateful, not only for your skill, but for your presence. It has made these days memorable." Kai felt a warmth he could not hide. "Mara, working with you has been more than I expected. You challenge me, inspire me, and I care more than I realized." A soft smile spread across Mara's face, and she tilted her head slightly. "Then we are honest with each other. That is a start," Kai nodded, feeling a quiet relief and anticipation. Yes. Honesty is the start, and we will take it slowly, carefully. I respect you too much to rush. Anything. Mara floated closer, her hand brushing his once more. I trust you, Kai, and I want to see where this connection can lead, without losing the respect we share. Kai felt a surge of emotion. The spark between them was no longer a fleeting. Thought it was real, tangible, and mutual. Yet both knew patience was necessary, respect, trust, and professionalism were still important, even as curiosity and attraction grew. The desert outside was quiet, the stars above bright and steady. The twin moons reflected softly on the hangar floor, bathing the space in gentle light. Inside, Kai and Mara stood side by side, aware of the unspoken bond that had grown, and the careful balance they had chosen to maintain. Mara finally spoke softly, breaking the silence. Come tomorrow, I leave for my journey beyond Ors 7. But I hope this is not the end for us. There is more to explore, not only in the galaxy, but in our connection. Kai met her gaze, his chest tight with anticipation and hope. I hope so as well, Mara. We have only just begun to understand what this connection means. They shared a quiet moment. Side by side, the hum of the repaired ship beneath them. The line between professional and personal had shifted, tested, and acknowledged. Both felt the spark, both understood the bond, and both chose to move forward carefully, together. As the night deepened over the desert, Kai watched Mara float toward her quarters, a gentle warmth lingering in the air. The ship rested ready for its journey, and the connection between human and Zerathian was no longer hidden, only cautiously embraced. The galaxy stretched vast and endless above Ors 7, and somewhere within that vastness, a human engineer and a Zerathian diplomat had begun to explore more than technology. They had discovered trust, respect, curiosity, and the beginnings of something quietly growing, an unusual bond that neither could ignore. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new adventures, and perhaps the first real test of the connection between them. But for now, under the twin moons, they had taken the first step, honest, careful, and mutual towards something neither had expected, yet both could not deny. The morning sun rose slowly over Ors 7, casting long shadows across the desert sands. Kai arrived at the hangar earlier than usual, his chest tight with anticipation. Today was the day Mara would depart on her long journey beyond the colony. The ship was fully repaired, systems verified, and navigation fully calibrated. All that remained was the final farewell. Mara floated into the hangar, her silver hair shimmering in the early sunlight. Her glowing eyes scanned the ship and then rested on Kai. Kai, she said softly, her voice carrying both warmth and seriousness. Today marks the beginning of a new journey. But I'm glad we have shared these days together. Kai nodded, trying to keep his voice steady. Mara, working with you has been remarkable. Your presence, your guidance, and your skill, everything about these days has been unforgettable. She smiled faintly, floating closer. And you, Kai, have been patient, clever, and careful. I trust you completely. You have earned that trust. And more than that, you have earned my respect. Kai felt a warmth spread through him. The connection between them, acknowledged and mutual, had grown stronger over the past days. Mara, I respect you too, and I hope this is only the beginning of understanding each other, beyond work and beyond these walls. Mara's eyes softened, her gaze steady. I hope so as well. But for now, the journey must begin. I must leave Ors 7 and continue my mission. The galaxy awaits. They moved to the ship together. Kai guided her through the final checks, ensuring every system functioned perfectly. Mara followed his instructions, her movements precise yet graceful. Every gesture, every glance, carried subtle acknowledgement of the bond between them. As they completed the last check, Mara floated to the exit ramp. She turned to Kai, her eyes reflecting the rising sun and the quiet emotion within her. Kai, before I leave, I want you to know something. You have changed my perspective. You have shown me patience, intelligence, and humanity in ways I never expected. Kai's chest tightened. Mara, you have shown me more than I can express. Your skill, your insight, and your trust have inspired me. I cannot ignore the connection we share. For a moment, they simply looked at each other. The hum of the ship, the gentle desert wind, and the distant colony all seemed to fade. Between them was a quiet understanding, a bond born of respect, teamwork, curiosity, and shared moments. Mara floated a little closer. Kai, I wish we could have more time here. But the galaxy calls, and I must answer. Promise me. When I return, we will continue exploring this connection. Kai nodded, holding her gaze. I promise, Mara. And until then, know that this bond, however quiet or subtle, will remain. I will be here when you return. She smiled, a soft glow in her eyes. Then we are agreed. Until the horizon meets the stars again, Kai guided her to the ship's control platform. She activated the engines, and the vessel hummed, ready for flight. The twin moons reflected off the polished hull, and the desert light highlighted the intricate patterns of the Xeradian technology. Before departure, Mara turned to him one last time. Kai, thank you for your skill, your patience, and your presence. You have made this journey memorable in ways no technical repair ever could. Kai felt a lump in his throat but smiled, steadying himself. And you, Mara, have shown me something I will not forget. Until your return, I will ensure the ship remains ready, and I will be here. With a final nod, Mara activated the ship's launch sequence. The engines glowed, energy coursing through the vessel. The hum grew louder, then suddenly the ship lifted gracefully off the landing pad. Kai watched as it hovered for a moment, the desert wind whipping around him, then ascended steadily into the sky, leaving a trail of shimmering light. He stood alone in the hangar, the quiet hum fading into memory. Yet the connection he shared with Mara was not gone. It lingered in his mind, warm and tangible, a spark ready to grow further when the time came. Over the next hours, Kai checked the ship remotely, ensuring Mara's journey remained smooth. He communicated via short, safe messages, confirming status and sending encouragement. Each reply from Mara carried subtle warmth, acknowledgement, and mutual respect, further strengthening their bond even from a far dot as the twin moons rose again over Ors 7. Kai reflected on the past days, from initial curiosity and cautious collaboration, to shared work, small touches, and quiet conversations. He and Mara had navigated boundaries carefully, and now, having acknowledged their connection, both felt the potential for something deeper, a bond built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. Kai looked out over the desert, the stars above glittering like distant beacons. The galaxy was vast and full of challenges, but he felt a quiet confidence. Humans could adapt, learn, and thrive even in the harshest conditions. And sometimes, as he now knew, they could build connections across species, across differences, and across the unknown. The wind carried a faint echo of the ship's departure, a reminder that Mara was out there, exploring the galaxy, facing new challenges, and carrying with her the bond they had begun to nurture. Kai smiled softly, a sense of purpose filling him. He would be ready for her return. For now, the desert was calm, the hangar quiet, and the stars bright above. Kai stood there, watching, waiting, and feeling a quiet hope. Hope that when Mara returned, they would continue where they had left off, carefully, honestly, and with the same respect and curiosity that had brought them together. And somewhere beyond the horizon, Mara's ship moved steadily through space, guided by her skill, determination, and the quiet bond between her and a human engineer who had earned her respect and perhaps her trust in something deeper. The galaxy stretched infinite and unknown. But Kai knew one thing: connections like these, built on respect, curiosity, and honesty, could endure even across the vastness of space. And as the twin moons of Ors 7 cast their soft light over the desert, a human and a Xeradian had both discovered that even in a galaxy full of stars and mysteries, the most important journey could be the one taken together, step by careful step.